What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 24 of the Don't Be a Beardo podcast with my special guest, Matt Knost. You guys know Matt from the Top 10 podcast. He's been on Schmodown. He's rocking it with John Roca. He's really good. He knows a lot about movies. So we get into his backstory. We talk about crazy shit, too. We talk about getting on psychedelics and just thinking about the universe. And is it Schrodinger's cat? Schroeder's cat? We talk about just like philosophical shit. And it's really interesting. I had a lot of fun with this episode, but I hope you enjoy it. And if you notice, we're on video right now, but the interview is not going to be on video. I'm testing this out right now. I bought new Logitech webcams. I'm hoping to maybe get Beardo on video, but I don't necessarily like having the show on video because I like interviews where it's just two guys talking. I like the one-on-one interaction without somebody worrying about seeing how they look or judging. But before we get started with the episode, I sent a tweet out today asking you guys to give me some questions because, to be completely honest, there's going to be times where I won't have a guest. I like to have an interview each week, but sometimes that's not going to happen. But I'm going to try my best to get an episode out each week, and even if it's just like answering questions or talking about what's going on, or having another guest on. If you guys want me to have a recurring guest again, I know I had RB3 on twice. I would like to have him on again. But if you guys want me to have someone else on, or someone on that has already been on, let me know. But here we go with your Twitter questions. You guys sent me some great Twitter questions that I enjoy because they're real questions, not just about Star Wars. I care about Star Wars, but I don't really care about Star Wars. I know it's bad to say, but I don't care if Luke's wearing a cape in the new picture or anything. I care about some other good movies. But here's a question from Ryan M. He's the guy that did the icon, my Twitter thing. It looks pretty, I don't know if it's on Twitter, but it's on the Beardo thing, the drawing I made. Ryan M. He says, when are we going to hear about your life/backstory and who's that mysterious bearded sound guy? What's his legend? It would be nice to be interviewed by somebody, but I don't think I'm that interesting because I just did like the basic way, I guess, to come about. Meaning I grew up in a small town from like an hour from here. I went to college. I learned a skill, and now I'm applying that skill to whatever I'm doing. If it's just recording podcasts or doing production sound, location sound, I just provided a service. Thank you, Ryan M, for that question. Michael Atkinson says, he's asking, who are you still lobbying to get on the show that you haven't gotten yet? I'm thinking about getting a lot of people on. It's difficult because they'll tell me like, hey, I'm available, but then last minute they said, oh, I can't do it. Who am I lobbying to get? I've been asking Finstock for a while. Don't think I haven't been trying to get that guy, but he's giving me like the runaround. I don't care if he watches this, or he's probably not going to watch this. Sarah on Twitter from Sarah's Here says, who has been your favorite guest to have so far? And that I can't answer that because like they've all been good, some better than others. I would say, but I try to have every show be the best show, and I want to say it's progressively getting better, even though some people might not agree, but I want it to get better. So I would say like the most recent episode is the best episode. Like this Matt Knost episode was my favorite because it's the most recent. And the next episode after that is going to be the best one. This question from Preston B. He says, what made you go to school for sound editing? And did you know this is what you wanted to do? I didn't necessarily go to school for sound. I went just as like a general film and television. It's called cinema and television at Northridge. But I took a sound class. This guy, I forgot his name, the professor, it was like Krantz. He was really good at Pro Tools, and he showed me like a different way to look at movies and with the sound and how you can manipulate it and all that. And he just showed me how to use Pro Tools, and I learned off that. I bought like the student edition for a couple $100, and I started recording my own stuff, and I just learned that way. And then I wanted to get better and better, so I bought better and better equipment. I learned how to like compress stuff and limit stuff and EQ stuff. So I just kind of like learned on my own. I like photography and cinematography, but it's just hard. And I'll do one more question because this is going on really long. I hope you guys are enjoying it. We're going to get into Matt Knost episode really quick in a little bit, but I had one more question. Where'd it go? Oh, this one's from Nick Bosworth. He says, what is your career dream/end goal? Is it working in film or something else? I think it would be awesome to work in film. Like obviously all of us want to work in movies. One of my career goals would be to work in Sirius XM. That's a dream too, because I love Howard Stern, and he just has like the perfect setup right now where he has 3-hour long shows, one show a day for 3 hours, where he can do comedy bits. He can like just shoot the shit with his staff, but he can also just do an hour and a half long interview with a guest. But thank you so much for the questions. Let's get to the episode. It's not going to be video because we're testing all this out. But here it is, episode 24 of the Don't Be a Beardo podcast with special guest, Matt Knost. Bye.
Shut up and sit down.
All right. And I just get right into it.
It's your show.
Yeah, I do whatever I want, man. How you doing, Matt Knost?
How are you?
I'm good. Where are you coming from?
I'm coming from my home. I was just working on a project.
Yeah.
And then time got away from me and I got here a little bit late.
Yeah.
Like 3 minutes after you, 4 minutes after you. So it wasn't so bad.
No.
But initially I was like, I don't like being late if I can help it unless you get nailed with traffic in this city.
Yeah.
Just because there are moments where you're like, there's nothing I can do. I'm going to be 30 minutes late. I left in a requisite amount of time.
Yeah.
Like before my wife and I were married, at her, I think it was like 1 year anniversary of the pizza shop being open or something like that. Or maybe, I can't remember what the specific day was. But I left Silver Lake to make it down to Fullerton, and I gave myself an hour and 15 minutes to do it, hour and a half.
At what time? Was it like 4 p.m?
No. I think I left at like 2:30.
Okay. To get there at what, 4?
I was shooting for 3:45, 4.
Okay. And
I think it was officially starting at 3:30, but by the time that people rolled in, they were probably actually going to start around 4, so that's what I was shooting for.
Yeah.
And I would have been accurate in that assessment, but it took me 3 hours and like 15 minutes.
Okay, that's ridiculous.
It was one of those days.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't on Google Maps. It wasn't on Waze. And I was driving down, and then suddenly I opened it up and it's just like, it's not even red, it's black.
Yeah.
And this wasn't there 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago.
Like a fatality on the freeway.
Yeah, something
thing.
bad.
Yeah,
You're just like, son of, Like there's a comic that I know saw do one time. He's like, at least sometimes when you get to the front, it's like 3 charred cars. And you're like, it was totally worth it. Look at that. It is fucking worth it.
Yeah.
But
if you don't see that, you're like, what the fuck was the point?
No.
Yeah.
And then you get pissed at everybody around you, even though they're doing the same thing you're doing.
Yeah.
Just this fucking guy. Look at it. He's leaving like 6 feet in front of him.
Yeah.
Leave 3 like the rest of us. Like I want to get to my just that much quicker.
Yeah. Or if the accident's on the other side, going the other way.
I hate that.
And everyone else on the other side is looking.
He's rubbernecking.
Yeah.
Slowing down. Oh, look at that. That is something. Yes, you've seen that.
Yeah.
If you lived here long enough, you see 30 of those a year.
Yeah.
Easy.
Move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Continue on with your day.
It's the worst.
How long you been in LA?
Like 8 years.
Yeah.
Something like that.
You come out here for stand-up?
Oh, I lived in San Diego before. That's where I started stand-up.
Oh, okay.
So I did it on there 6-7 years, and then I moved up here after that.
Oh, okay. Well,
actually, it would have been 8-9 years ago.
What was the final, like, why LA? Why did you want to get out of San Diego?
Well, it's one of those in comedy, you either move to LA or New York.
Yeah.
You make the choice at some point because you can't stay where you're at. So I already knew people that lived here, and I was living in San Diego, and it's just like it seemed an easier move, ultimately. So I was like, I'll just do that.
Were you at the Comedy Store in San Diego first?
Yeah, that's where I started. That's where I met Ellis
really?
13 years ago or something, 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he was Fat Ellis and I was Fat Matt.
Oh, you were fat too?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I had a bit of a drinking problem, and then also coupled with that late night Mexican food in San Diego was pretty excellent.
Yeah.
I lived in an area that was all college kids, so it was just geared towards our palate.
Yeah.
There used to be this stuff called, I'm sure they still make it, carne asada fries. So Mexican fries on the bottom, like every place did their different version.
Yeah.
It's like whatever frozen potatoes they got. And then you put carne asada on top of that with guac and sour cream and cheese. And it just it's so hot in the little container. It all like melts in. It's this just fatty, delicious goo with French fries.
That's like 2 a.m., like drunk. I'm going to eat whatever I want right now. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I think I was like probably 60, 70 pounds heavier.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So how old are you, in like your early 20s then?
Yeah, I was 23 or 4.
Yeah. So you just like didn't care?
It was years of all my friends stopped exercising or playing any kind of sports, and we just all drank a lot now. And then the drinking became more drinking, and then
Yeah.
you know.
Were you a sport like into sports in high school?
Yeah, I played some organized, and then I
Yeah.
played like a bunch with my friends. Tons of pickup basketball.
Oh, okay.
Just tons.
Were you a baseball guy?
No.
No. Couldn't do that.
I stopped playing after like Little League.
Uh-huh.
I just didn't care anymore.
Yeah.
And I tried out once in high school, but the coach didn't like me. Like at all. Because
Why, were you a dick?
No, so I went to a small school.
Yeah.
And I was hanging out with the jocks, but then I also had friends that were part of like the outsider kind of crew.
Oh, okay.
The coaches didn't like them.
Yeah.
So I was passing between the two, and they didn't like the fact that I was hanging out with these kids instead of my other friends over here.
You weren't like 100% like
Yes.
part of the crew,
The
the
jock
jocks.
crew,
Yeah.
even though none of my friends cared. They're like, yeah, they're cool. You know, you do what you do,
Yeah,
whatever you're going to do. I'm just like, I like hanging out with these guys too. So I got docked points for that because I wouldn't. It was a small school.
Did he tell you that, or were you just like thinking that?
The head coach of the football team told me.
Yeah.
And then the guy that ran the baseball team was one of the assistant coaches on the football team.
Mhm.
So it was just kind of a done deal.
Yeah.
Just like, okay. I didn't like the head coach of the football team.
No one does.
He was especially just a douche. He was. Even his players, because like they made playoffs every year.
Yeah.
Except for his last like year or something. But I
Mhm.
think they won a state championship too before I went to that school. It's Dunlap.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up.
Is
I have no idea.
this in San Diego too, or
No, this
where's
is Illinois.
Oh, you're back. You grew up, raised, and born and raised Chicago.
No, I'll give you the quick.
You said you're from everywhere. I don't know.
A
where
little
you're at. Yeah.
Born in Nashville, Tennessee.
Uh-huh.
My mom is from there. My dad was doing his residency at Vanderbilt University.
Oh.
Finished there. Moved to Fredericksburg, Maryland when I was like 1.
Uh-huh.
Lived there for 1.5 to 2 years. I don't remember it.
You don't know why they moved out there?
The CDC, my dad worked for a lab for the CDC there.
Oh.
And then from there, opened his own practice in West Virginia. And I lived there for 8 years, Clarksburg.
Mhm.
And then from Clarksburg to Lexington, Kentucky, because the federal government stepped in on some of my dad's work on the side, and they opened a federal lab. So he ran that lab.
Oh, I thought it was like something bad. Like
No.
They stepped
They-
in and like stopped it.
Him and his business partner came up with an idea, and it was fruitful enough that the federal government was like, we'd like to explore this. We'll invest money. So he moved
shit.
there to open the lab.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it didn't work out as well as they should have. You know, it
Yeah.
happens.
Uh-huh.
But they tried.
Yeah.
And then he joined a practice in Peoria, Illinois, which is downstate, 2.5 hours from Chicago, and then like 3 hours from St. Louis. It's right in the middle.
Okay.
And then from there, Indiana University to San Diego to LA, and then here with you.
Yeah.
And there's the quick
In
backstory.
Glendale.
Yes.
But I want that's too fast. I want to like expand on it.
I ask away. Where do you want to start?
When people ask you where you're from, what do you say? Like where I grew up.
I say
like,
Illinois.
You say I grew up like I'm a Chicago.
I moved there the summer between 7th and 8th grade. So I
Okay.
did 8th grade through high school.
Yeah.
I still got buddies from there that I talk to every once and again. One
Mhm.
guy and I text a ton,
Yeah.
but I moved a lot. So I haven't talked to tons of people that I've known in my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I technically call home. But my mom retired a few years ago. My dad just retired last year, and then they moved to Steamboat, Colorado.
Shit.
So now that will be home.
Yeah.
I view home wherever they are.
Oh, why where?
Because we move so many times
Yeah.
that home is an idea more than a place to me.
Oh,
So-
you don't. It's not like a settled down place.
No. It never has been for me. So it's wherever my family kind of comes together.
Mhm.
That's home. So then Nashville, I still have a ton of family,
Yeah.
and that's home. And my dad's got family down in Louisiana in Baton Rouge
Mhm.
area, and that's home. Like just like this
Oh, so
idea of family means more to me.
You've never had like the uncle that's like 10 minutes away, and
Nope.
you had family barbecues and all that
Nope.
shit. You never had that.
Didn't grow up with that
Nothing?
at all.
Do you-
So that is not my experience of family. My experience of family is big events,
Yeah.
Thanksgivings, Christmases, stuff like that, where everybody kind of gets together.
Mhm.
But with my family though too, any holidays home at
Oh,
that point.
Yeah. The
My immediate nuclear family, yeah.
Yeah. So what have you had like an experience when in high school when you saw like their uncles are down the street and they're like, oh, I'm just gonna go hang out with my uncle or some shit, or my cousins, and you're like, how is that?
In Peoria, not as many people not as many people had family locally.
Oh,
They
okay.
had family like within a couple hours.
Oh, yeah.
I think from there to Nashville is like from Peoria to Nashville is like 6 hours, something like that. So I know my parents have made that drive numerous times.
Okay.
But when I was a kid, it was Clarksburg to Nashville, and that's like 9 hours in the car.
Shit.
You don't know how, you have no idea how much Lee Greenwood I've heard in my entire life. My mom had like 6 cassettes. I've heard Les Miserables backwards and forwards. I can sing all the songs. I know all the play acts. I know the entire arc of it. So I've seen the play twice now. I like it because I know where it's going. And then
you saw the movie?
I saw the movie. Yeah. It's like, but I know that back because of my mom.
Oh shit.
Yeah, just driving like, okay, we're going to.
Was that what you do for 9 hours at a time? Like,
I don't remember all of it. Do you know what I mean? It's a long drive.
Yeah. Like, well, if you had like Game Boys or some shit, like remembering playing Mario in the back seat.
Nah, I didn't have a Game Boy until I was in 6th grade, 7th grade. They didn't exist before then.
Yeah.
To all you assholes out there that now have all of this stuff in 7 different versions.
Yeah.
And you're constantly entertained. I'm envious. I'm not calling you lazy or anything like that. Because when we were a kid, it was just, you make up games, but basically you just end up annoying each other for 9 hours.
Oh, do you have a brother or sister?
Older brother, younger sister.
Yeah. So you and your brother got along or no?
No, my brother was a jerk to me. Like, I still idolized him. He was my big brother.
Yeah.
There were times where it was like a lot of camaraderie.
Yeah.
But it was also, there were points where it was just like, I'm going to make you cry right now. You're like, why?
Well, what was the age difference?
3.5 years.
Okay.
Enough where he could put a nice beating on me.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't do it all the time, but at the same time, the threat was real in that he was so much larger than me.
He, like, physically, he's larger than you?
He still is to this day. He's like an inch taller than me,
and
he probably outweighs me by, I don't know, but he's a bigger, stockier guy.
But you guys weren't that close? Like, because you guys are your first best friends, did that not happen?
I think yes and no. I think I'm closer with my sister just because our age difference is 1.5 years.
Oh, okay.
So we experienced more of the same things together.
Yeah, and you like took care of her and stuff?
A little bit. I would threaten violence on her. I never really followed through with it just because and then she would run behind my brother. And then my brother was just like, I get to tee off now.
So it was like a complete circle.
Yeah. Of me getting my ass whooped.
Or the middle child.
Yeah.
Did you have middle child syndrome? Is that a thing?
I don't know.
You don't care?
I don't know. That stuff is like fortunes. You know what I mean? People that read their zodiac chart.
They read into it?
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. There's some of those traits I have, sure. But I think, every person could say I have some of those traits.
Oh, okay.
Just because they're identifiable. Sometimes you feel, like a middle child. Like, God damn it, why can't this older one is pissing me off, but they clearly love the younger one. Like all that dynamic of the psychological effect on the individual. Like
why is my older brother getting away with stuff that I'm not getting away with? And also they treat the baby as the baby. So she gets away with more stuff too. Did that?
Possibly. Although my brother fucked up a lot as a kid. So it kind of made it easier on me in that regard.
What do you mean he fucked up? Like,
just didn't study as much as he should have for this thing and just stupid little things. But my dad I got grounded a week once because there was too much toothpaste like in the bottom of the sink basin. It plopped right off my toothbrush.
Yeah.
And it just kind of sat there and I didn't clean it. And he saw it days later. But my guess is there was a buildup to that. I just remember that.
And he grounded you for a week?
For a week.
Like what? Like just sit at home, do nothing?
Yeah, no friends. I could read books.
Yeah.
And that's what I was allowed to do. I just sit on my bed or sit in my room, but I can't play with my toys. I can't go out and see my friends. I can't watch TV. I can't play video games.
Yeah.
So,
but meanwhile, your brother's not doing his studies and he gets away and does anything?
No, he got punished for his stuff too. My dad wasn't. I mean, we both think that my sister got off easier, but it's also his little girl. It's like once you get older, you're like, I get it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine trying to raise 2 asshole little boys. And then you have this little girl and be like, she is a princess compared to these 2 maniacs.
Yeah.
Because my brother and I were nuts.
Like nuts, like how?
Like every two, did you have a brother?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the age difference?
A couple years older than I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have any of that dynamic where he would inflict himself upon you?
Like what do you mean inflict? Like we would get into fights and stuff?
Yeah, fights or it's intimidation of some kind or whatever else, trying to get his way over yours.
I don't remember that so much.
Okay.
We would get into fights like over the remote, something like as innocuous as that, like something that's just so it doesn't mean anything. It's just a remote who gets to watch what cartoons, and we would just get into like huge arguments,
but never fisticuffs.
We would never fight. No.
Okay. My brother and I never really did that. I mean, like there's I think 2 instances I can think of where full on like this just became a fight,
like actual hitting each other.
Yeah.
It
didn't last long.
Okay. Who stepped in? Your mom or your dad?
No. The fight ended itself.
Well, like how?
Well, more than likely, I remember once, because one of the 2 I remember, I was on the ground crying. It didn't take him long.
Yeah.
But I had a friend sleeping over, and we were having a pillow fight, and my brother came in, and he was a couple years older, so he knew that if you have like a feather pillow, if you swing it around a couple times, all the feathers settle on one side. So
Yeah.
it turns into a club at that point. It's no longer a pillow.
Yeah.
So you can actually get some momentum, and the impact, it'll, compress and then spring that action back. So there's going to be a lot of physical energy that gets transferred in this swing as opposed to a normal pillow. So I just remember coming in and bam, just nailing me. But with the sole intent was to do that. And it knocked me clean on my ass. And I started crying. And he just was like laughing. And then he just dropped it like a bully and walked out of the room. Just like in front of my friends. It's one of two that I can remember. But it makes me laugh now. It's fine. It's one of those everybody has. Life's not rosy for anybody.
No.
Yeah, nobody's path is easy. So what? I got hit in the face really hard with the pillow.
But it's funny now because you can see. Yeah. What was you think back, like, what was he trying to do? Like, impress you?
I don't know.
Be like
now you're trying to get in the psychological mind of a 10-year-old or an 11-year-old.
Well, there's got to be something behind it.
True.
No?
But at the same time, sometimes, don't you recall, I remember doing things just like, I don't know, I just want to do this right now, even though I know the consequences are bad. Like, I'd already thought it out, and I'm just like, I want to see what happens when I do this.
Yeah.
Just to see. Nobody's around. I think I can get away with it.
Yeah.
Just pushing boundaries and stuff like that, doing stupid boy stuff. I'm sure girls did it too, but I hung out with boys, and like, did you ever have a friend that was just nuts?
I'm trying to think. In high school, the guy would just like break bottles and do crazy shit. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Was that you, or did you have a friend?
No, I'm just saying. But if you're in a large enough group, you usually have one of those guys and a guy that is like super laid back, chill, doesn't want to do any of that stuff, and then some spectrum in between. Just like, I've seen all the varieties of guys. I know what's out there.
Where do you fall in that spectrum? Were you like kind of laid back, or you
probably laid back, like lower end of that spectrum?
Okay,
yeah.
So you just like you seem like a joker, like you crack jokes and you just like make people laugh. Well, now that you're stand up, but I feel like back then you were just like not the class clown, but like in a way.
No, I was not the class clown. No, but I would pepper in insults that would be effective. I picked my spots. So
you wouldn't get into fights, you would just use your words?
Yeah, and those words, on a couple of times almost got me into a fight. That's fine. I was big enough in high school to where I was on the football team for 2 years. And then had to work out for that, and I had a membership to Gold's Gym, and I was actually in pretty decent shape. I remember, so when my brother came home from college his first year, and I'd been going to Gold's, and I'd had football and all that stuff, and he got me on top of me, and he was just trying to do older brother stuff, and he pinned me down where he put his knees on my elbows, so they're pressed down, and he's just sitting on my chest.
Like a full mount type thing?
Where my arms are cinched down by his legs, and he can just kind of, do light slaps in my face and whatever else. But I was strong enough I could just press him up, and I pushed him off.
Like all arms and chest?
All chest. And I was just like, and the look on his face of, holy shit, I was like, I just pushed him. I mean, it wasn't like I threw him, but I got him off. And he's still, outweighed me by about 15, 20 pounds at that point.
Did that change the dynamic of the
relationship?
Yes, it
did. Yes, it did. I finally had the respect of, trust me, there will be consequences if you do this stuff now.
Oh, okay.
I remember that day, yeah.
That was high school?
That was high school.
Were you guys in the same high school together?
Mm-mm.
Oh, 3-year difference, though? You guys weren't in the same...
So when we moved from Lexington to Peoria, it was between 7th and 8th grade for me, and it was between his junior and senior years in high school. So that's kind of brutal.
For him or for you?
Yeah, for him.
Yeah, like switching schools senior year?
His senior year.
Yeah.
And so he moved there, and he just hated it.
Yeah.
And I can't blame him.
Yeah.
So one day he just disappeared, and he took his car, and he drove back to Lexington.
Oh, shit.
And just showed up on his buddy's front door. And his buddy's parents and my parents figured it out, and my brother stayed there.
He got to go to his old school?
Yes, he did. He lived with them, and he got to go to his old school and live out with his... And you know what? He made the right decision.
Yeah.
He did. It was just from there. So basically it turned into college, and then he was gone. When I was going through high school, he was already gone.
Oh, okay.
So me and, my little sister went through high school together.
Okay.
I think that's probably why we're closer. We went through that formative experience, the same high school, and,
Yeah. Did you take care of her in a sense of like when she went like to go on dates with guys? Were you just like trying to intimidate them?
No. But at the same time, like I didn't like any boyfriend she ever had until her husband.
Oh yeah,
who was super cool.
Why? What's the difference between him and the rest of the guys?
I don't know. They were all just schmucks.
They were high school,
yeah, different and through college. I don't know who she dated. I think I might have met one guy, but I'm not sure.
What like kind of clique was she a part of? Like theater, cheerleading?
Well, once again, we went to a small school, so
Oh,
she
yeah.
was on the basketball team. The basketball team was really good. They made it to the Final Four in state.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So she was kind of like a jock as well.
yeah, jock, but then she was voted, I think, homecoming queen one year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
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 So you pretty popular family.
I don't
No.
yes and no. It's a small school, so everybody kind of
okay.
knows I had 124 people in my graduating class, something like that.
Oh, that's small.
Yeah.
Okay, I was thinking
There
small,
was-
like a couple hundred.
Yeah,
or a
there's
few
like
hundred.
450, 470 in the school, so everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Throughout eventually there are a couple people in every grade. You're like, I can never remember that person's name, but I've got 350 in my head,
Yeah, yeah.
or 380 or whatever it is. Like I've got almost all this school, but there are still some that escape me.
So out of there, where did you plan on going to college?
I applied to a bunch of different places, and then I went to IU.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I went
Where are you from?
I'm from in the Inland Empire.
Where in Inland?
Do you know where Walnut is? Kind of Chino Hills.
Okay, I know
Pomona,
Chino Hills.
Pomona, Diamond Bar area.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm over there.
Okay.
So born and raised over there, and then came out here like a year ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. I'm new here.
Well, that's why I didn't fucking recognize you at the store,
Yeah, yeah.
because I've never seen you outside of the schmo's habitat.
No.
And then I think I've only seen you with a hat on backwards.
Yeah. That's
See-
like my trademark.
And I think the only interaction we ever had was be like, "Hey, how are you? Good.
Yeah.
How are you?" And then just your two ships passing in the night. Like,
Yeah.
But you're always in the middle of doing something, and I show up there so rarely to do that show that I think we've only maybe seen each other 4 times, 5 times.
I think I've only seen you maybe twice.
Okay.
Maybe if
I was saying higher just in case. Like, I don't know if you were at one of the huge Schmodown events.
yeah.
And there's so many people, and I don't know who was there.
I don't talk to anybody there.
I know.
Like
I feel
there's too many people.
Yeah, I don't have usually like at parties. Back in the day, it was just like me and a buddy or 2 buddies who just go stand over by the keg and just hang out there because everybody eventually has to interact over there. And we want to be by the keg anyway. But I've never mingled at any party ever.
No.
It's just not fun.
How is it like anxiety inducing or how are you with like parties?
No, it's a lot of physical effort. It is to keep your mind constantly jumping like, oh, here's new people. What can we talk about? But I don't want to be like cliched. So I'm saying the same things over and over again.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just like my mind needs to be as aware as my body for the next 2 hours, 3 hours straight.
But do you think you're overthinking it and you can just be like yourself? And
I think that's how I think.
yeah, yeah.
So no.
But do you see someone who's like so easily like gregarious and so easily personable with everybody and you just wish you can be like that? That's how I am sometimes. I'm like, why can't I just like open a conversation with somebody?
See, I stopped beating myself up for who I am
Yeah.
a few years ago.
Uh-huh.
It just eventually I settled into the fact of this is what I do.
Uh-huh.
And I know that like some people in our world probably find me like distant because I don't try and inflict myself onto others because I
Mhm.
figure it's like, we're adults. If you want to talk, let's talk. Otherwise, we just, I can hang out over here just by myself. I'm completely fine with that.
You are.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah, yeah.
If you can't be fine with yourself, then it's kind of tough to be fine amongst others,
That's true.
at least for me.
So you don't have to be like a part of like a little tiny group like at the party.
Not necessarily.
Uh-huh.
Normally I do.
Yeah.
I mean, I can be part of the larger group. It depends. If you know enough people throughout, then I love floating through because you get to meet new people.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just like, I already know 2 people in this conversation. Here's a new person.
Yeah, yeah.
Boom. Hey, what's up? And then we can just I can get a sense of who they are by the dynamic with the other 2 people that I know.
Mm-hmm.
And be like, okay, yeah, I like this person. Or, it's just an easier way to get into conversation and know someone.
Yeah. How are you with alcohol?
I don't drink anymore.
Or how were you? Like,
I was a little too good.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I always say. It's like, well, and then I know somebody who's basically drunk now. He's like, well, you're a little too bad. I'm like, yeah, from your perspective, probably so. Yeah.
But did you use alcohol to like freely jump from group to group and just like, No.
I used alcohol to dull pain.
What was the pain?
It's just depression about a number of different things in my life. And I wasn't happy with the trajectory in my early 20s. That's why I was fat. I was also fat. I had like no self-esteem and I was a terrible open mic comic, which you are at first.
Yeah, everybody is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've only seen a handful, like 2 to 3.
Mm-hmm.
And all the years I've been watching tons of comedy and seeing comics that pretty early on had a sense of self.
Mm-hmm.
Because it takes a while. Like I have to figure out how to be funny to strangers.
Yeah.
So it's not the easiest of propositions, but yeah, it was,
And like, how do you like figure out that you are funny or funny enough to be funny in front of strangers?
You fail.
Yeah.
That's how you find out. You have to have an unyielding belief that like, I know what I think is funny.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes like it doesn't pay off for people. They continue to plug on. It's just like you've never found how to relay that to an audience.
Yeah, somebody or some people just think like, oh, I'm funny enough. They think they are funny and they don't work on it. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, some people think look, everybody shows up to a show thinking they have a great sense of humor.
Yeah.
Every comedy show, every person in there thinks that they have an excellent sense of humor. They do.
Yeah. Or
because
they think they're the funniest guy in the office
potentially.
building.
Yeah. You do see that sometimes because there are office parties that come out.
Yeah.
And I've seen like a sulking guy and you assume, okay, he's the office funny guy and he's not enjoying the fact that the office thinks potentially this guy on stage is funnier than him. You've seen it enough. I've seen a million bachelorette parties. I've seen a million like this. I've seen numerous drunk people get out of line and have to get tossed. I've seen everything. Like think of a potential reality and I've either seen it or I know somebody that has and I've got a secondhand experience of it within my phone. Like everything. I've seen people rush the stage. I've seen
you've seen that?
Yeah, I've seen comics get punched. I've seen comics punch audience members.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I've
seen
drinks get spilled and everything. Yeah.
I saw a full-on tussle between one door guy and a group of 4. Yeah. And he won. He was this big, thick, like he's a black guy, think like Craig Robinson-ish size.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was two couples, two black couples, and the women just would not stop talking. And he went up to him numerous times and said, be quiet, be quiet. And then eventually I think one threw a drink at him.
Yeah.
And he went to the husband, then stepped in just immediately, but probably assuming this is going to escalate, like knowing beforehand, his date or his wife or whoever it was.
Yeah.
So then he throws him out of the way, and then the door guy throws the husband out of the way and then pushes the table, and the other 2 ladies fall back, against the ground, and the other guy comes to push and he like just knocks him over with his left arm. I was like, holy shit. Yeah. I just got off stage 12 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, whatever the case is. And it erupted, like it went this south this quick.
Yeah. And at that time, like what happens at the store? Or is that at the store or somewhere else?
Yeah, it was a store up here.
Yeah. So what happens then?
Cops are called. The 2 couples ran. They parked really close by, and we saw them fly out of there before the cops arrived.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that kind of like throw you off? And you're like, why am I doing this now? Or
no,
it doesn't frighten you?
Nope.
And you're like, what if someone rushes me on stage or some shit?
Could happen.
Has that ever happened? Have you ever pissed anybody off?
I had an old man follow me out of the OR at the store.
Yeah.
So, you walk out. Have you been inside that room? I'm sure you have. You've been there enough now.
Yeah.
So it all funnels out to that small hallway where there's like the waitress stand tucked up on the right-hand side and goes down to that back hallway with all the photos.
Yeah.
So I think it was a sold-out room, and there was this older couple, and the wife was enjoying it, and the husband wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually I noticed that, and I made mention of it, and he got salty about it, and I was nice. I never pick a fight, and I rarely, if ever, start a conversation with them. If they want to start, sure.
But did you picked a fight with him because he was looking?
I did not pick a fight. I was just like, okay, what aren't you enjoying? Let me try this joke. And that joke didn't work. And I was like, really? Nothing for you? Okay, let me try this one. And nothing. So at that point I was like, maybe it's shock humor. And then I just went dark jokes. And the crowd loved it. And he seemed to get more and more pissed. And I get off. Everybody enjoys himself. He's still looking salty as hell. I walk out. He follows me out. So he comes, if you're looking at stage, he's at stage left, second row, I think second table from the left. You know that room's situated? So
is he like on the side where the walkway is from the stage to the outside?
Yeah, there's those clamshell booths on the left there. He's in the second row, like middle table. So he walks out to the left and then comes around, and I'm going off stage.
Yeah.
So he meets me.
Oh, in the room.
Yeah, in the room, but follows me out right down those stairs.
Oh, okay.
It was perfectly timed.
Yeah.
And he grabbed me on the shoulder, and 3 comics in the room followed him out, going, there's going to be trouble. And he grabbed me on the shoulder and spun me around. I was like, dude, you are hilarious. I loved every second of this. Like, okay, well, next time, show it on your fucking face, man.
Yeah.
Like, that was ridiculous. But I'm glad you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah.
But go join your wife. Seriously, at that point, like, when he spun me around, I, flared up a little bit, and I was like, all right, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I figured a fight was coming. Oh,
you're like, next time, just laugh, you know?
Yes. Don't look at there with like rigor mortis on your face. Enjoy yourself. Unless this is you laughing, and then I would sit in the back so people can't see this because you look pissed and deceased. You're not emoting in any way, shape, or form.
Did he go into anything? Like, did he explain more? He's like, hey, I just had a bad day or some shit?
No, it was, I don't know if he was just in his own head or drunk, or I don't have the slightest clue. He didn't seem drunk, but he very well could have been given the way he was acting. But I don't know. It was strange.
And then he just got the hell out of there?
Well, no, then I hung out at the store for like another hour and a half.
Yeah.
because, I lived alone and I didn't have anywhere to go. And it's a late night in Hollywood and there's nowhere else to go because that place can be a lot of fun.
The store, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you perform at like the Laugh Factory or any other places too?
Occasionally, but it's always been like on an invite situation. Somebody reaches out to me. I never.
Oh, okay. Because I know some people do spots like at the store.
Oh,
Then
yeah,
they go
you
to
in
the Laugh Factory.
or the Improv, or there's a bunch of like great rooms in town. Or you can drive down to Long Beach or out to Pasadena to the Ice House.
Yeah.
Or haha up in North Hollywood, which is a good time.
That's a good place too.
Yeah. I haven't. I'm thinking of specifically the old place, which the decor was spray painted on.
Uh-huh.
And it made for an interesting, like the bathroom was an interesting experience. Just, this doesn't belong in an adult establishment kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there's a million places to perform in town.
Where was your first stand up at the store in San Diego, the La Jolla store?
Yeah.
Your first experience.
My first open mic that I failed on for 3 straight minutes. Yes. I did what I thought was 3 minutes of material in about 1:45.
Oh yeah, it goes really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to silence. People just staring at me.
Was it like a Monday night like potluck?
It was their version on their Sunday.
Oh, okay.
So it's open mic from 7 to 8, and there's a big window right there. So during the summer, the sun just comes blaring right in, and you're performing in the daylight, just like they used to be up here.
Yeah.
You show up. I saw a couple of their open mics.
Yeah.
I never had to do it, thank God. And I was just like, I don't know how you survive this.
Yeah.
It's populated by, at that time, because the store hadn't had the resurgence it has now.
Yeah.
So the open mic was populated by homeless people and struggling wannabe comics, and that's literally all that was in there.
It was the most depressing looking batch of people ever.
But at the same time, it was a madhouse because the comics were allowed to do anything they wanted. At that point, Mitzi had basically retreated from being there every day, and there was a void of where the power was. So the comics got away with doing whatever they wanted for like 15 years.
Wait,
10 years.
Retreated from the Hollywood one or the San Diego one?
Hollywood.
You're talking about
but Hollywood, but kind of both at that point.
Okay.
It's like she wasn't there doing the day-to-day anymore, and somebody else was supposed to be taking care of that for her. And
was that Tommy in charge at that time?
I mean, he came in eventually.
Mm-hmm. But between that time, like it was just like the comics running the store?
No, they had other people doing it, but it was like a weird, I don't know what the direct succession was, but I saw the succession before. Like I've seen the progression from disorganized to 10, 12 years later. Now there's a managerial organization structure. And it all makes sense.
Yeah.
And there's a clear line between like, if something gets issued, then it has to be followed kind of thing. And before it was like a murky, who are you? Kind of everybody had a sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
Even, through the bartenders, the waitresses, it was a surly kind of.
Oh, yeah.
But it was fun.
Yeah.
Because we were part of the crew that got to do what we wanted to do.
That's what Ellis was saying, is like the inmates were running the prison type thing.
Inmates run the asylum.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
That's what it was. Or now.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I moved here at the tail end of that. So I caught the last like 2 years of it and then saw the shift into more professional business.
Now it's just like, like you said, it's a resurgence of popularity of just like status now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Over the last like 4 years.
Yeah. Cause when I started going like 3 years ago, and like Monday nights, Tuesday nights, just empty. Like,
yeah, now Mondays, Tuesdays, it's packed every night of the week.
Yeah, now Dice is showing up on like a Monday.
Oh, Dice was showing up. That was the problem before.
Oh, was it?
Like, apparently for years, Eddie Griffin would go on. He's like, I'm doing 3 hours tonight.
Oh,
and
yeah.
there was nobody to tell him.
Yeah.
And no one would step in. So then Dice would do it too.
Oh.
And other guys felt like, I'm allowed to do that here. They felt they got to the status, and when no one said no, then suddenly they got to do that there. It was a select handful of just a couple more people.
Oh, okay.
But those two were the biggest. But Eddie was by far, by all stories, I just missed him. I saw a couple of long Dice sets.
Oh, you never saw the long 3 hours Eddie Griffin sets?
No.
No.
I can't imagine that was entertaining.
Like, yeah, like after a half hour, like doesn't the room clear out?
Not after a half hour. You got to give him a little bit more credit than that.
I know.
I never saw the man perform, and I'm not saying he went up with his A+ and he was just rambling, because more than likely he was. If you're going up there with the intent of, I'm going to do as long as I want,
yeah,
then you're not coming out of the gate like punch.
Yeah.
You're feeling it out, seeing the crowd.
Oh, okay.
Maybe half hour, but I imagine he probably got 45 to an hour of good graces from people, because he was funny enough throughout to carry him.
And he was pretty big at that time? Was
maybe
late?
I'm sure it was after
2000s?
Deuce Bigelow.
One of those, like Undercover Brother type. Around that time?
Probably.
Yeah. But I want to go back to your first time though. What made you want to be a stand-up? What made you like think, hey, I'm the funny guy and I can be funny around other people?
I don't know. Don't you have that inherent belief that you're funny and you could?
I don't think I'm funny.
At all? Categorically, you're just shutting yourself out of the funny discussion?
No, I think it comes off of pretentious. I think I know what's funny and I know what I think is funny, but I don't think I'm funny myself. Like I wouldn't have the balls to go up and do 3 minutes and say, "Hey, I have a solid 3 minutes. Let me stand in front of you, be by myself with the mic, and you're gonna laugh at what I'm gonna say."
Mm-hmm.
I don't have those balls.
Well, it's more ego driven.
Yeah.
Just in that by going up there, by what you're saying, like I'm going to stand up here and I'm going to be funny, and you're going to shut up and listen.
Yeah.
It's a very ego driven, like, trust me, I am funny.
Yeah.
But if you do it for long enough and you become successful, then yes, you are.
It's like any other thing you work at and you become better at.
So long as you have an aptitude for it and you can apply yourself and figure out how it works for you, then you can succeed. Mm-hmm. Now, there's also how you define success, and that's a different discussion because everybody has a different metric by which they're, assigning that.
Success meaning like
what is successful? Whether it's on stage, is it the notoriety that you want? Do you want what benchmarks in your career do you want? Stuff like that.
Like would you say becoming a paid regular is successful at the store?
Sure. If that's one of your goals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was that a goal for you to become a paid regular?
Yeah. I mean, I did it for a long time.
What do you mean you did open mics for a long time?
Well, no, I mean, I was part of coming from San Diego. You're kind of looked at as stepson.
Yeah.
Like you're not as good.
Child,
you're not as good because you're down there. This is where the big boys play. Mm. And on some level you resent it. And on another level, it's true. Mm-hmm. Because all the guys you respect all live there and that's where they're playing. Mm-hmm. And they come down to enjoy themselves and take off and like have a good time down here. Like then there's truth in what you say.
Yeah.
So, eventually you do have to kind of test your balls and move up here. One way or the other. But
what was your early material? Like when you first started, what was the 3 minutes that you did? You remember?
No, but I do remember my second week. I literally got one laugh. Yeah. The guy went, ha, and clapped and looked around to the other like 4 or 5 people in the room and nobody else laughed. And he's like, okay, well, wasn't that funny? Kind of look on his face. And I'm like, listen, I got one laugh.
Yeah.
That is literally 100% better than last week. So that is progress and I will take it.
But he was ashamed to laugh, because
almost like he was like willing to give it up for. It was just a stupid quick twist.
Yeah.
The joke was predicated upon some dentist got caught for when his female patients were under either putting his dick in their mouth or doing something along those lines.
Yeah.
And the joke was they may have left with cavities, but at least they got a filling.
Yeah.
So but at the same time, the problem is exactly that's what it is. It's like, hey, okay, that was cute.
I get it.
Yeah, it was cute. There's no craft to it, and it ends right there. That's what I've learned from my style is like, I'll find a subject and I set it up, and then I figure out what's funny within it. Yeah. So I will stay as long as I can in it, and I try and get to a point where it's just every sentence is a punchline.
Oh, so you're telling like a story and then like
sometimes.
Have a punchline like throughout?
Sometimes. Or other times I just have a topic of like, I used to do this. And then I figure out like, I can talk about these 4 different aspects of it, tie it all in one joke. There's a couple minutes of material. That's the way my head has always worked. Mm-hmm. At least when it comes to stand up.
Who are like, that sounds like a Joan Rivers thing. Cause I remember there was like some article or something, her laughs per minute type thing. Like she would tell a story, but like every other like 10 seconds would be a laugh. Is that like something?
It's what you want to shoot for.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different meter, like whatever our bar they're trying to hit. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's a common, like, I want to try and get you just innately know you can hear a better comic when you're younger and you're like, okay, how is he structuring? How is he doing? How is he getting to those things?
Who did you look at for that?
Anybody that was better than me, which is almost everybody.
No, but like what comics, like established comics, like on stage or on TV or something, like who would you look at? Were you like a Seinfeld guy or?
No. I mean, I enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
But I don't really know his stand-up.
You never paid attention. His stand-up, like.
I've never watched it.
Yeah.
I've never sat down and watched a Seinfeld special.
Uh-huh. Why? You just like don't like his humor? But even though you like the humor of the show, you don't like the humor of like his stand-up?
I attribute that humor to Larry David.
Oh.
When you watch Curb, I think now the feeling you get from watching Curb is the best aspects or what I enjoyed most of Seinfeld.
Yeah.
So whenever he was inflecting his humor most, which was quite a long time, I think that's when those jokes succeeded and the characters were the best.
Oh, okay. So you're saying like this isn't really Seinfeld. This is Larry David's voice through
Seinfeld.
Yeah.
That's just my assessment. I could be 100% wrong. And it was like, no, Jerry was in there every day and influencing and writing and helping this. Like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
But as soon as I saw Curb, I was like, wow. Like it was from the first special, which has one of my favorite jokes I've ever heard. And it's a throwaway line. Larry's, because have you ever seen the first special? What do you mean
the first special?
So it's like an hour precursor to season 1.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just started watching from the first season. Maybe.
Okay, so there's like a fake. They did I think it's just 1 hour, but it's like a extended episode, and it's just a template for the show going forward.
Oh.
And he's trying to basically get an hour together and go and do like a special. And it's the behind the scenes of him doing, a couple spots here and there, but it's mostly dealing with the bullshit of Hollywood and people coming in with bad ideas and just Curb.
Yeah.
His real life kind of brought to life kind of thing. And he's on stage at one point and it's a throwaway line. And he's like, et tu, Brute, don't you think we're past the informal 2 at this point? Like, yeah, that's actually very funny. That's true. Because the cut ends right there and you don't know if he extends beyond, but it's also his delivery on it because I've never seen him perform.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, and if he fleshes out that idea, that's funny because, I took a lot of Spanish in high school and college. So it's something I never noticed about English, but like the, formality and informality of certain things. And
the two and usted. And
yeah. Showing someone like that, 2 is more, we're friends and familial.
Yeah.
Or familiar with one another. And the usted is like, we don't know each other, we're giving each other respect.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I don't know who you are. I just like that. We've passed you're not friends anymore. It's just like, you know what? He's got a good point.
So you like the smart humor. Like you like the wordplay of the humor.
Sure, but I also like stupid humor too. Brian Regan is absolutely one of my favorite comics of all time.
Oh yeah? I've never got into stand-up.
Oh my God. Go listen to his first CD. And it is... do you remember Hooked on Phonics? Are you old enough for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was like for the dumb people who couldn't read, right? Yeah.
That's just vicious. They're kids, for Christ's sake.
Oh, is it kids? I thought it was like middle school, like high school.
I thought it was for like 6 to 10-year-olds or something. Who hadn't picked up reading or having trouble.
I thought
trying to gear it towards them early.
I thought it was like the remedial kids in high school or some shit.
Maybe.
Or I don't know.
I only remember seeing like the commercials. He's the second joke in, third joke in is a joke that is carried with me till this day.
Yeah.
And before that, he's got another joke that is carried with me to this day. I'm seeing him in November. He's only the second comic I've paid for since I became a comic.
Yeah.
And I'm driving down.
Like you're just a fan of his.
It's undeniable. The guy works G. Yeah. It is G material.
Oh, yeah, that's what I hear. He's the cleanest comic ever.
PG is as hardcore as he's going to go.
Yeah, but he's still like the funniest comic.
It's just, he gets away with, it's not even get away with, like he created the kind of, it's hard to describe, but he brings a joy on stage that is undeniable. The guy's one of the best. Him and Rickles are the only 2 that I paid for.
Yeah. Well, Rickles is like, it's legend.
Yeah.
But what was the joke that Regan stuck with Regan?
Oh, well, I don't want to tell you if you actually genuinely want to go back. I don't know how much you like comics and are willing to listen.
Yeah. So
do you want to hear the joke then?
I want to hear the joke. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the Hooked on Phonics is just I noticed that they didn't cast that commercial with the kids that are just now going through the program, and it just goes to the director and it's like, all right, action. Hooked on Phonics. All right, cut. Okay, this is the only kid we got, kind of thing. And that's the fact of the matter is that's the meanest joke he does.
Yeah,
as in somehow it's, and I'm not even doing it remote justice because I don't want to get into it too much because it is pure Brian Regan. But before that, he's got a joke where he got dropped off at the airport and the cabbie was like, "All right, have a good flight," and he was like, "You too. Next time you fly, whenever you're flying," kind of like, "I'm an idiot." Yeah. But it's the first time I ever heard someone do that. It was like, oh my, I know that.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
It does.
Yeah.
But I don't know of a comic doing that before him that I've just so identified with. Mm-hmm. It's just that it's continuous, like a commonality that is impressive.
So like, there's like observations that he has that you are familiar with.
Yeah, or even if I can't or I haven't experienced it, I understand it because he relays the information so well.
Oh, okay. Do you feel like you guys have like a similar voice in that sense?
No,
you're different from him.
Yeah. It's one of those he's Regan. And it's a very specific, like, I would love if I was ever as good as that because that to me is one of the pantheon.
Yeah. So his success, when you say you define success, what's his success? Like just specials every other year?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him. I don't know how he defines his success.
But how do you define success with like stand up? Like, do you want a special or do you want like a TV show or what's that?
The only success I want, I just want to be happy.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That is what my driving motivation through anything.
Yeah.
So long as I'm enjoying what I'm doing, I will continue doing that because life is short enough.
Mhm.
So I want to enjoy as much of it as I can before I go.
Yeah.
And I did that a little too much with the hooch, and that's why I had to stop the hooch.
Yeah.
So you just try and live in other capacities.
So what makes you happy now? Just the stand up or
Yeah, stand-up, podcasts, projects that I work on the side, doing writing, like anything that feels like a creative capacity, but also is entertaining to me, whether it's tough work. I do, woodworking.
Mhm.
So if you live roughly in the area, you go
Yeah.
down to my wife's shop. I built the tables.
Mhm.
I built the benches. I refurbed the bar. It fucking sucks because the underneath was just so warped. The guy did a shit job of building it.
Mhm.
So it looks okay.
Yeah.
That pissed me off. Plus it took me forever because of the warpage.
Mm.
We put, ladder or vertical paneling. I put vertical paneling it would oscillate or vary in size. So like one piece was 3 inches, one was 6, one was 2, and just to give it like an interesting pattern.
Oh.
But because of the warpage, like it took
It-
hammering in and gluing in, took me like 13 hours to do. I did it overnight when they were closed one night.
Mhm.
And the next day I was like, fuck this thing. Fuck this thing. Because you can't build it in sections. So you have to bring it all down. And when I'm doing paneling like that,
Yeah.
that was like 100 and I don't know how many pieces just by itself. And then I had to add additions to it and a bar railing across the top and the bar itself and like do this all in one night.
It had to be all at once?
It had to be done in one night.
Yeah.
That one did. All the others I built at home and then brought down either at once or the tables I built in pieces and then brought down and assembled down there.
Okay. So this is the stuff that like makes you happy, like the woodworking, the stand up, and just being like creative and expressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just, building stuff with my hands and
Mhm.
I like doing the schmodown stuff.
Yeah.
Why not?
You like the trivia. You're a movie guy
Sure.
though. Like how did you get into movies?
How do you not?
How do you not get into movies?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, some people like don't understand.
Well, I call those people weird.
Like if you tell somebody, hey, there's a new Star Wars movie out, they're like, oh, really?
Well, you know what happened is you just spotted a communist because that person does not deserve to be in this country or the free world for all that matters.
Yeah.
Although, I know numerous people that may have seen Star Wars.
Yeah.
I didn't find them until I was older. I was like, are you fucking kidding? That's ridiculous.
What, people that haven't seen it?
Yes.
Yeah. There are some people that are there's a new Spider-Man movie out. Is Tobey Maguire going to be in it again? Like people like that who like aren't really invested in movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that. It's not your cup of tea, but like when did you get into movies?
College.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
as a kid, it held.
Well, like as a kid, I would see like the Disney movies, like
Mhm.
all like the Disney cartoon movies, and then also like
Me too.
the
What was in your rotation?
Sandlot is a classic.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
But also like the Mighty Ducks, the little
Not for me.
Yeah. Those
That
are-
came after.
Yeah, yeah. Like you were like in your like early teens at that time.
What year did that come out? What, 90?
94 was the first one.
Yeah, I was in, what was that, freshman or sophomore year of high school?
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So I see like how that doesn't.
Yeah.
Because it's a kid movie.
It is.
Yeah, yeah. Or Mighty Ducks, Little Big League.
Little Big League, I know.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
So-
I enjoyed the story on that one. That one it appealed to slightly older as well.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Because like he's in the baseball, so like a father who likes baseball can watch that, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a Rookie of the Year, Angels in the Outfield, all those like cheesy like Disney
See,
movies.
Angels, I don't know, but Rookie of the Year, I do know.
Yeah. Never heard of Angels in the Outfield?
No. I know it.
Oh,
I know
yeah,
it
yeah.
exists.
Yeah, yeah.
I think I may even know a couple that are in the cast. Is that the
Uh,
one with Danny Glover or is that the one with Quaid?
Danny Glover and Tony Danza is the pitcher.
Danza, that's who it is.
Yeah, yeah. But Joseph Gordon-Levitt's the main kid. Christopher
Okay.
Lloyd is the angel.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Okay.
I've seen clips of somebody getting lifted from the outfield to make
Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
To make a hell of a catch.
Yeah.
And I've seen that and maybe one other.
Yeah.
That's all that comes to mind.
But these are all like the cheesy movies that I grew up with.
But none of the cartoons?
What do you mean, like the Disney cartoons, like the
Yeah.
Aladdin and all that?
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. I did all that.
Any of the, I think the 60s stuff is some of my favorite, though.
What do you mean the '60s stuff? Like the Rescuers?
I love Rescuers. I
Yeah.
love Robin Hood. I
Mm.
love Sword in the Stone. I love Jungle Book. Um,
I know what's Sword in the Stone.
you don't know Sword in the Stone?
I've actually never heard of that. No.
Oh, dude, you got to be fucking kidding me. It's an all-time classic.
It's a Disney cartoon.
It's a Disney
anime,
cartoon.
yeah.
It is set on Camelot and Merlin,
Mm-hmm.
but it's from this perspective of King Arthur as a child, but he doesn't know he's King Arthur, neither do you until the end. But you know, I mean, if you read the description, it would be that.
Okay.
I'm not. It's
not
a Disney
spoiling.
movie from the 60s. I'm not spoiling anything.
Yeah.
Uh,
So what movies did you grow up on? Like in the 80s, you grew up on like the Goonies and all that shit?
yeah, but like, I guess I might have had a slightly different childhood than you because my mom took us to movies all the time.
Oh,
Like in
so
the summer, I saw probably a movie every other week, if not once a week.
But she was already taking you like rated R and PG-13 type movies?
Not rated R at the time. I could
Okay.
rent the occasional rated R by like the age of like 9 or 10,
Mm-hmm.
depending on what it is.
Yeah.
And then that policy also, like I saw Aliens when I was too young.
Yeah.
And that scared the crap out of me. I saw a couple others that were too, but others I was like, yeah, I'm completely fine with this one.
What was the first movie? You're like, fuck, that's a movie. That's a great fucking film.
That's a good question. I don't know if there's one specific. Do you have one?
I point to Fargo as like the first awakening of me, where it's like, oh, that's a film. That's a well-made film.
Okay.
But I didn't see that till I was like 18. Like before that, I was just like into like shitty TV shows and movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were a teenage kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't like, I'm a film major.
Yeah. No. I mean, I saw a bunch of movies, and then my friends and I in high school would see movies too.
Yeah.
So I still stayed on top of. I saw movies not probably on average as often as I did when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I've always, only until the last couple of years, I've gotten back into the habit.
Mm.
But I used to, before I was married, being a comic is great. I had my days off. So Mondays and Tuesdays I reserved for movies, and I'd go see a movie on Monday or Tuesday because there's nobody in there.
Yeah.
It's a cheaper ticket. Parking's a breeze. It's fantastic. I'm like, I got to work later that night, but I don't have to work right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I loved it. I saw movies all the time, and now I try and save it because, she likes movies too.
Yeah.
So she wants to go see them.
But does she like the movies where you're like, oh, that's not that great? Like a romantic comedy or some movie like The Circle, where it's like,
Which one was The Circle?
that was the Tom Hanks and Emma Watson one that came out. And
That
just
wasn't a
kinda-
romantic comedy.
No, but I'm just thinking like a movie where it's like,
That's what I thought of when you said it.
No,
I was
no,
like,
no,
is
no,
that
no.
Did I not understand that trailer at all?
No, I'm just like equating like all bad movies as like romantic comedies as well. I'm just including it all.
It just goes into the waste pile, there's
yeah,
a
yeah.
garbage heap of romantic. Anything you don't like is like, that's a fucking romantic comedy.
Yeah.
Really?
No, well, it's like, I think of like cheesy romantic comedies, like Kate Hudson movies, and it's like, oh, like I don't want to see this shit. That's that's a rental.
But it's not even a rental.
It's
There's a ton of those that I haven't seen. How to Lose a Guy in
10 days.
10 days or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
I've
yeah.
never seen.
I've seen that.
Okay. Well, trust me. I'm assuming I'm the better for not having seen it.
But if your wife wants to see it, do you
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll watch it if she wants to. The other day she wanted to watch Conspiracy Theory. It was the other day, like a month ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
The Julia Roberts, Mel Gibson, and I like that movie. It's fun. I got zero problem with that. She really wants to watch Moulin Rouge, which I've seen. I think I've seen the whole thing just in chunks.
Okay.
I've never sat down and watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. I get it. I understand why you like it. Like, it's really well done.
Yeah.
But if I don't have, the audio cassettes in the car, like I was when I was a kid, so I get to hear only one of 10 tapes over and over, I'm not going to get sucked into your musical, even if it is using popular songs.
That one was
Nicole Kidman, Ewan McGregor.
That was the Baz Luhrmann one,
Yeah.
where it's like in your face, like
very
very
stylistic.
Yeah.
Like it's if you're into it, like I get it. It's
But-
got a real sense of itself.
Mm-hmm. But you're not a fan of musicals?
It depends on the musical.
La La Land.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I think they need to cut the first 40 minutes and then it's an interesting story because I don't need to see two failing cunts in LA.
Yeah.
And they're actually nice people, but the people on their periphery, just like, I get it. Why do we need 3 songs from various different parties when all the parties are the exact same?
Yeah.
Just like cut all of this.
That's LA though.
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
But I think because you have a personal experience with that where you got sick of it right away. So,
Yeah, I didn't do it all that often because I stopped drinking by the time I moved here.
oh, okay.
So that type of like, I would go and hang out for, a couple hours and be like, all right, well, I'm done.
Yeah.
That's the other thing though, since living here, I know more people that are in like AA or recovering from something or other than I ever thought I would.
Oh, yeah. Like they've experienced that. They've gone through it all.
Yeah, but it's just like, so I know a lot of people that have done AA or recovering from that, and then it only escalates from there. Just pick a drug. I know somebody that's probably on some sort of detox or used to do or
Oh shit.
kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
I mean, not a huge, probably not. I'm sure I know people that have done crystal meth, but I don't know it
Yeah.
kind of thing. But coke, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Heroin, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
You've seen it all.
yeah. I've never seen someone shoot up, but I've seen someone cooking with a spoon and a lighter.
Really?
I've seen that.
And what do you say at that point? Do you say I gotta get
I
out
was
of here?
walking past and I was like, well, that's a thing. And this is like, I was walking away anyway.
Yeah.
So it didn't really matter.
So, but you don't say like, hey, that looks interesting. Let me what's going on here?
No.
No.
I got an addictive personality. I know that about myself.
Yeah.
So I've limited my habits.
Like Coke or anything too? Like, let me try this and see how.
I knew I would love that.
Yeah.
Just because I didn't want to do it knowing that I would like it. And then all my friends got into it and their descriptions of it. I'd be like, I would love that. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a real problem.
I know. Same here. I would be like, I would want to feel that feeling all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do.
And then I can't.
Yeah. No, I mean, drinking psychedelics,
Uh-huh.
pot, and that's about it for me on a consistent. I steered clear of all the other just because I know who I am and just like, that's not good for me. And I already abused the things that, well, at least alcohol.
That make you feel good.
Yeah, I already do that. Like all the others, I can keep it like,
Psychedelics, you're into that?
sure, mushrooms and acid. And,
Yeah.
I took mescaline once.
What's that?
It is synthesized peyote, the active ingredient from peyote.
Shit. You don't mind losing your mind like that, where it's like out of control? Like
You're not out of control though.
I would think like any kind of psychedelic, you just lose yourself.
No, at least for me, the world's stimulus becomes vivid. So as long as you learn to tune out and you can focus in on one thing at a time and process the world individually, it is an incredible experience. If you can allow yourself, like that's the way it works for me.
I would love that. Just like, cause I'm like hyper focused on everything around me. So to just focus on one thing, I would appreciate that more.
The dumbest things in the world. I remember one night, one of my friends had a laser pointer and it was just going back and forth over the grass. So it created this strobe effect and you're just focusing on that and you get mesmerized by the photons that are excited right now. And then you start thinking about that aspect of it, like the science of what's happening behind that. Like my brain falls into that all the time. But later on that evening, you know, those, you see them down at Echo Park, but those 2-man plastic boats that you push with your feet and that propels you from behind. And we both didn't know it. The rudder is in the middle. Mm-hmm. So if you want to go straight, you keep it in between. If you want to go like right, you push it all the way down. If you want to go left, you pull it all the way back.
Oh, I would think like the right person has to go.
You can do that.
Okay.
But there is a rudder in the back.
Oh, okay.
And we didn't know it.
Uh-huh.
So we went out and we just, after like 5-6 minutes, we were like, why do we keep doing just donuts? We're just out here doing donuts and it's dark out, but it's a starry night.
Yeah.
So it's like the full moon, so you can see everything. We're just laughing our asses off. Like, I cannot figure this out. My buddy Alex was finally just like, hit the lever, and we started going the other way, and we looked at each other, and it's one of the hardest I've ever laughed in my entire life. My stomach hurt. I had tears coming out of my eyes. It was just like how big an idiot you are because you can't see the forest for the trees. And that's fine. Like, you just relieve yourself of any sin of that. You're like, I'm almost childlike.
Yeah.
But
learning how to walk.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's experiences like that where you're just like, you become so hyper-focused. And other times it's contemplative and philosophical.
Yeah.
And you start thinking about abstract thoughts, and it's, it's interesting in that capacity if you allow yourself to do that.
Oh, so you start thinking in that way where you're like, who am I as a self, as myself, as a person? Why am I who I am? How do I exist as a person?
Yeah. Or the, the universe by crude definition is expanding at a faster rate than we knew until like 10 or 15 years ago. But then begs the question, where's it expanding to? And actually, technically what's expanding is the dark energy that we can't really detect. We know it's there, or maybe we can in small capacities, but we can't. Anyway, dark energy. That's why it has this ambiguous name, but that's actually what's expanding. And eventually, like just I like science, and I like, but especially like space.
Yeah.
Just all there's so many infinite questions.
The unknown.
Yeah.
But when you say expanding, if it's expanding, that means it would be like in a finite like type of space that's outside.
True.
So how does that exist if it's expanding into what?
Exactly. Or I read an article once where the observable universe, let's say it makes us look kind of like a jelly bean. That's as far out as we can see because light can only travel so fast. So we can't see something that the light from there hasn't reached us yet.
And we're looking into the past because that's light years away.
Exactly, light years away.
Yeah.
But you can take a map of that, and I saw one where physicists believe that perhaps there's the energy is kind of uniform all the way around, but there's some depressions in certain spots. So that could be another universe or dimension pushing in against us.
Okay. So what do you mean? There's other.
So if we're expanding, but then we're not infinite because there's something to expand beyond. So perhaps there's another universe abutting next to us is expanding, and that could be the explanation for why these energy depressions are here when it's uniform in other spaces. Like something is giving resistance there.
Oh, so if there wasn't any like force upon it, it would be like a perfect jelly bean or perfect smooth.
Yeah, it's never going to be perfectly smooth, but it would look more uniform overall.
Yeah.
And it's not in certain spots. It's just like, well, is there resistance there? What's pressing up against it? Why can't it expand? There's more questions.
Yeah.
The question just begets more questions.
Yeah.
So yeah, psychedelics sometimes can make you sit there and do that.
Yeah. But I would think like weed could do that too. Cause I get in my head with weed too. I'm just like nothing matters. Like, why does anything matter?
It does if you believe it does, and that's the best definition I can give you.
Like stuff gives you give stuff meaning.
Yes,
in a sense.
Otherwise, if it's meaningless to you, your entire universe is you. So if that is meaningless to you, then on some level it is meaningless.
You're saying you think that the universe is you, like the solipsistic type thing where it's like I am the universe.
I mean, not that egocentric. More so, my experience is my own, and I don't know what yours is. So this is how I'm experiencing the universe, and I don't even know if this conversation is happening right now. Like this could just be the electrical synapses of another brain firing, and we're a figment of their imagination. And I don't know. Like you could give me any reality as long as you can give me enough examples as to why potentially. Then I think it enters in the argument because how do you know the answer to any of these questions?
No, you don't.
You don't.
Yeah.
So it's just based purely on speculation.
The thing that I enjoy is like breaking down like the minutia of things. Like we're talking to microphones; those are creating. How are they recording into this little thing right next to me, and that gets published out for anyone to hear? Like just little things. Like how does it record sound and voice and energy and everything?
Like I said that to John on the Top 10 show once.
Yeah,
we were talking and whatever else, and I told him there's a thought that I'd had before, just like I know how we have electricity and I understand the process by which we create it and generate it, and that's what generators derive their name from, and the delivery system and the voltage that it comes in at, and ours is different from other places in the world, and also like all the various different things, but it is still on some level magic to me.
Yeah,
it is like I realize it is a manipulation of the the atoms and the elements within our world. But that is still it's still magic. You're still creating electricity. You're still creating an energy. You're still I understand it, but at the same time, because I can't visualize the entire process all at once and I can't see it with my own eyes, it exists in a theoretical state, even though I see the byproduct of its action.
Yeah. Like how we're technically creating it, but we take it for granted that we plug something in and it works. Like we don't think about like the process behind it.
Yeah, or I just wish I could visualize, okay, so what does electricity actually look like in an atomic structure? As opposed to the explanation of. That's where it becomes magic of, like, have you ever read anything about quantum mechanics?
No.
Okay. This is where it starts to hurt.
Yeah.
So we live in a world of like Newtonian and Einsteinian rules, where if I throw a ball, then it'll more than likely, given its current velocity, the Earth's gravitational pull, wind resistance, whatever else, it'll probably land somewhere roughly in that area, right? There's predictability. Within quantum, it's probability. There is no certainty.
So what happens to the ball?
Well, all realities are possible. And only until it's observed is that reality fixed.
Okay.
So the easiest way to look at it is like this. It's called Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah.
And it's an experiment. It's a thought experiment. But the easiest way, so the best example I saw was online. Okay. So my phone is cracked. I dropped it the other day, right?
Yeah.
It's the first time I've ever had a cracked screen. I feel like a scumbag. You know what I mean? I didn't realize how much I looked down on other people when they had cracked screens. And now I look at mine and be like, you look like a peasant. Get this thing fixed.
Yeah.
But anyway, so if you drop your phone and it lands face first, okay, so quantum mechanics is both possibilities are real. The screen is utterly cracked and the screen is not cracked.
Mhm.
And until you flip it up and look at it, is the reality set. So you're at superposition, meaning you can see all realities at once.
Mhm.
And until you see the outcome, you don't know. That's what quantum is.
That's Schrodinger's cat, though, right?
Yeah.
Like until you open the box.
Until
like
you open the
cat
box, you don't know if the cat is dead or alive.
Yeah.
So there's a Schrodinger's phone,
Okay.
which is an easier example for those at home to visualize, because the cat one, sometimes people are like, well, the cat, of course the cat would die. And you're like, well, you can't think of it in those terms of,
Yeah.
whatever else. You have to think, well, you can, but.
Well, okay. They're saying, so you put a cat in a box.
Yes.
And you're saying by opening the box, you affect the outcome of the cat.
You set the outcome of the cat.
You set it.
Yes.
So what do you mean? What do you mean? You set
Before
whether
that, all outcomes are possible.
Oh, okay.
So as soon as you observe it, then
Mhm.
that is the only outcome,
Mm-hmm.
which seems normal. You're like, of course, that would be the outcome. But at quantum, because things like there's all kinds of different experiments they've done with, I think it's photons. That, like, if you shoot a light out of a gun
Uh-huh.
and you put a screen up behind it and track individual protons, they don't hit the same spot. They hit all over.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can actually put baffles in front of them and they'll mimic the same patterns. And it's because light is a rare thing in that it's a beam and a particle all at once.
Oh, it's a wave and
Yes.
yeah.
So it has these different attributes and stuff. Look, it only gets more complex, and my understanding is so surface compared to anybody who knows what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
And we got off on a hell of a science tangent here.
Yeah.
This is the longest I've talked science ever with microphones.
Yeah. I enjoy it though, like the deeper conversations as opposed to like, hey, who was in Star Wars this past
Just condemning all the people that are listening to us right now because they've seen at least me do it before or listened to me do it before. Just do that. Basically, like, oh, this scene was excellent in this movie. Shut up. It's true though.
What's that? What's true? Like talking about movies?
Yeah, the frivolity of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
But you still enjoy it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Because I would do it anyway.
What do you mean? You still talk about movies?
Yeah. If I got a buddy that I know likes movies, we'll talk movies.
So is that how Top 10 came about or
No. Top 10. So Christian and Mark approached me and said, hey, you want to do a show with us?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, sure. And Christian was like, I got an idea for the show called Top 10. I was like, okay. And just one sentence explanation is like, I get it.
Yeah.
And then I met with a couple people and we just didn't really vibe. And then met with John and there was at least a spark there compared to the last one. And we were both like, let's give it a shot.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just went from there.
But this was like the first iteration of it when it was on Collider?
Yeah. So Christian gave us the idea and then we tweaked the idea to what the show is with like, he wanted us to come in and the list is already set. So we're just talking about the movies.
Oh, no, that's no fun.
Yeah. Where's the dynamic in that?
Yeah.
If there's no argument and discussion, then people are just tuning in to listen to two assholes read a list.
Yeah.
Like, why am I going to waste my time recording that? Let alone
set list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, that's fucking, why would we have the fun in email or something when we could just sit down and do it? It'd be way easier.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to write 300 emails and we just talk for
an
hour and do the same thing. And it's way more entertaining.
So was it your idea to have your own list? Or yours and John's?
John, it was ours. We were like, all right, we come in with our list. It was kind of an organic. We were just sitting around the very first discussion we had about it after we met the first time. So the second time we met up and just like, I was like, I think I said to him, I had thoughts. What do you think of going like this? And he's like, yeah, and the same thing. I had thoughts. What about this? Okay. And we just
Did you guys have like practice runs beforehand? Or
no, the first one we did was the first one you heard.
Was it live or is it
live to tape? Same thing we're doing now. Didn't edit, I ran it through various processors and stuff like that, but I didn't edit anything in or out outside of the intro and outro.
Oh, wait, what do you mean? You did it yourself? This wasn't at Collider yet?
No. Before Collider, we did Top 10 for 18 months.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's why I have the Zune 4 and you got the 6.
Yeah.
I still do it. So now we trade off and I do some and he does some.
Oh, so beforehand, it was just yours and John's idea, and it had its own like iTunes feed and everything?
Yeah, paid for our own RSS feed. I had all the equipment already because I used to do a podcast with Ingram.
Oh, Rick Ingram?
Yeah.
Okay.
Embrace the Hate.
And
it was just, he's one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And we shoot the shit all the time anyway. So I was like, why don't we just start recording this and maybe there's a show in there. And
what was the show there?
It was just us shitting on things.
Just like hating on everything.
Well, if you know Rick, that's what Rick does.
He shits on the audience during his set.
Yeah, but there's a distinct craft to it.
Yeah.
If anybody out there listening, you get a chance to see him, I thoroughly recommend. I enjoy watching him.
Yeah.
Uh,
He's always got like he does have some of these set jokes for like the certain audience, but
Yeah.
still like he's able to come up with things on
and
the fly.
that changes too,
Yeah.
because he used to have other jokes that he doesn't use anymore. He just got sick of doing them. But that's 10% of the act,
Yeah.
if that. Some nights,
Mhm.
which makes sense. You need to create a spark of discussion,
Yeah.
and you can figure out how to do that pretty quickly.
And change it up.
And he's one of the best at it.
Yeah.
There's only like it's him and like one or two other guys that I think of when I'm like, they can do an hour and you trust them. It's perfectly fine.
So you and John would do your own top 10 show on your own feed, and then how did that get to Collider?
Well, we would. So I did the audio, then gave it to him. Then John would slap on a picture and post it up to YouTube. So we were on SK Plus. And started there. So did it there, and then eventually once they shifted over to Collider, Christian said, "Do you guys have any interest in doing it on Collider?" And we're like, "Sure, yeah, why not? Let's give it a shot. It could be a lot of fun."
Were you guys getting like good numbers at the time?
I mean, we were getting okay numbers.
Yeah. How is it being like? How are you like marketing it or not publicizing it, promoting it?
I mean, on our social media, I don't know about their end.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm sure it was, they pushed for it just like they do a ton of other shows over there. John would be the better answer for that because he's done like movie talk for so long now.
Yeah.
He knows more of that. And I think I've done that like 3 times now.
I said this before the podcast. You don't really have, because I tried to look you up like online. You don't really have an online presence.
Nope.
Like you don't have a website.
I used to.
Yeah.
I never updated it, and I was like, "Why am I paying for this?"
And it never worked.
No, I built the thing myself.
Yeah.
I did all the coding. It turned out actually pretty good because if you need to make a simple HTML, the beauty of HTML is, and certain aspects of Java and JavaScript and whatnot, as long as you know how to place it in there, you can cut and paste other code and know where to change to get it to do what you need.
Yeah.
It's not that difficult. Like certain languages, no, I'm not touching. Like Python. There's no need for me to do Python or like a bunch of others.
Because you're not doing crazy coding. You're just doing a CSS stylistic stuff.
Exactly. Very simplistic.
Yeah.
Tossing a few things here and there, but it's mostly just drop down menus, click to go to this page.
Show
here's the calendar. Here's the this.
Show the YouTube video.
Yeah.
So you realized that wasn't working for you? Or
No,
that
was
wasn't
just everybody had stopped doing it at that point.
Uh-huh.
Like I'd had mine, then a couple years later, it was just like everybody was directing it to what had gone from MySpace to Facebook, and then Facebook/YouTube and Twitter. And every once again, when guys after a certain point will then turn around and get websites again.
Oh, okay.
I think that's usually the way it goes.
Mm-hmm. But you don't care about having like what people call a brand on like a Twitter or a Facebook. Like, hey, come like my page. Seems like you don't give a shit about any of that.
Nope, I don't.
No.
I figure if you want to follow or play along, then you will.
Yeah.
And me just saying, hey, it's fun over, the grass is greener. Trust me, the grass is greener. And I'm doing some shuck and jive. Like, I don't know. I feel weird when I get hit up from people that I know, because the same, like in entertainment, it's nonstop. Hey, like my page here.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't get it as bad as I used to because I think everybody wised up.
Yeah.
But it used to be nonstop. Just like, hey, please like my page over here. And then you
subscribe.
Get the same one from that person like 5 times in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I'm not just not going to do it.
But do you feel like how do you brand yourself as like a comedian then? Like,
well, obviously I don't.
don't?
No, I mean, I don't know. I like to perform and I perform when I want to.
So you're not going like on the road and trying to do like road gigs and stuff?
No, I don't want to be away from home.
Oh.
Because it's lonely on the road and you're sleeping in shitty beds and you're making small talk every night with strangers. And I hope you like whoever else is on the show, because that's potentially who you're stuck with for like 2 days, maybe 3. Just like, it's not, I mean, there are some times where it's just like, this is interminable. Like the shows are okay and I don't have anybody to talk to and I'm bored as fuck during the day.
How's the money?
Well, without TV credits, it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you're thinking like, this isn't even worth the money, like going through all this shit.
Oh, it can be.
Uh-huh.
There's some, like, I've done terrible corporate gigs, but the money is good.
Oh, you're doing corporate?
I've done corporate. I've done casinos. I've done, this, that, and the other.
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten flown to amazing places to do comedy.
Yeah.
And, it's great.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's also a one-nighter in this dump and come do 2 nights in this like small town in the middle of nowhere, but they're paying you a decent rate. And like, yeah, they end up paying a little bit more than another club just because they have to. And you're like, that's okay. I'll do it for that money. That's fine. I just don't have any, I do well enough for myself here. I don't need to do that stuff.
So you do well enough where you don't have like the 9-to-5 type job.
Correct.
You're able to support yourself like with the stand-up or with whatever projects you do on your own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little things here and there. And I took some of my money, invested it, and that's done well for me.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're set.
No. But as long as I continue to be prudent and make secure financial decisions and stuff like that, I can continue on. And hopefully I don't have to have a job I don't want for the rest of my life.
Have you ever had like that office corporate job?
Not the cubicle.
Yeah.
No. I've had a million jobs. Well, not a million. I've had probably like 8 or 10 jobs. No, I think the closest, I mean, I worked for a large corporation, but technically I was an independent contractor.
So there was never a job where you're like doing the same thing, like an office space type thing, like wake up at 6, get to work by 8.
In college, I was a beer distributor. I worked for a beer distributor.
Mm-hmm.
So I showed up after the pallet or a couple pallets of beer would arrive, and I'd have to like stock shelves and put up displays and do signage and stuff like that. So I had to dress nice for that, and I'd start early. I think I had to be there by like 6 or 6:30 in the morning, and work till 4 or 5 in the afternoon. I did that for a couple summers.
Yeah. Oh, it was only for the summer. It wasn't like a couple years at a time.
No. No, outside of like I was a door guy at the store. I did in La Jolla. I did every job down there. So door guy, bar back, bartender, ran the ticket booth. I was a seater. I did the marketing and getting guys on like radio and TV. Yeah. I think I've done every job. I managed the club.
Oh, you manage like
manager would go out of town for a week, go on vacation. I'm managing the club for a week. They tried to offer me the role of assistant manager. I was like, no, thanks.
You wouldn't want that
because then I'm not a comic.
Oh, you're just a business guy.
Yeah. And I'm just helping you out. And I didn't ask for any favors until I moved here, so I didn't have to do open mic. I talked to the manager up here, and he knew that I did all that stuff, and I never asked for anything. I was like, I just want to be put on Friends and Family so I can do my 5 minutes after the open mic.
Yeah.
I don't care where.
Yeah.
But they ended up giving me a good spot. But after years of doing that, I was like, I'm not asking for a lot.
Yeah.
And you've got like 20 of those spots, and you know that there's like 6 or 7 of those people that aren't even good enough to have it. But it's fine. They're better than an open micer. They're progressing, and you know damn sure I am better than everybody else on this list. So you have no problem doing that. But yeah, I did everything possible. So, I mean, I worked there for 4 years.
So now, like, before we go, because it's, I don't know if you know, it's past 6 o'clock.
Oh shit. Okay.
You got to go.
I didn't even realize.
But before we go, like, what's like on the plate now? Like with Collider, with anything, what's the future hold for you?
Hopefully we have something to announce with Top 10, although we've both been so busy, we haven't been able to communicate. And then, as far as people listening to this would be able to see, nothing specific anytime soon. I mean, working on a couple things that if they get realized, people obviously know.
Yeah.
But it's Hollywood. You know what I mean?
What do you mean Hollywood?
It could go or it could never go.
Oh, yeah.
You could put in just as much work on both.
Like, don't get your hopes up.
Yeah.
Until it's
exactly.
realized.
Until I have money in my hand, then this is just an abstract idea. This isn't real yet.
I've realized that from like people saying
people
like,
promise the world.
Yeah.
Like, let's see some cash first and then we'll fucking talk.
You're like, hey, I'm going to do this. We're going to get this together. And then this project's going to happen. Like, and you don't hear from them for a year.
Yeah. And none of those things happened.
Yeah.
But every time you see them, oh, dude, and then I'm doing this thing and I'm doing this thing. And that's also why I don't like self-promotion. I associate it with that. People just come in and spewing lies.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm doing 15, 17 things. Be like, you wouldn't have the time. Fuck off.
Yeah.
I'd rather just have a conversation.
I like talking about it after the fact. I don't like saying anything beforehand.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's going to happen.
Exactly. And I feel like I look like an asshole. Just like, oh, you were talking a big game. Yeah. You didn't do any of it. You're like, well, I did a lot of it. You just didn't see any of that. Yeah. Sucks. So now you just don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I put in a year and a half into a project and it kind of fell apart.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well,
that sucked.
That's Hollywood.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
What are you going to do?
If people want to follow you on Twitter, what's your Twitter?
Yeah, hit me up on Twitter. Twitter, Instagram, Matt Knost, Mattknost.
Yeah. Well, thank you for doing this, man. I hope you
I'm glad
fun.
we managed to squeeze it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our schedules were kind of tough this week.
Yours was. Mine's open.
Yeah,
You're
I have more time during the day. I'm more flexible there.
Yeah. See, I have the 9 to 5. I'm stuck in an office all day.
I know.
All right. Well,
as are most people.
Yeah. But thank you for doing this, man. I hope you had fun, and let's get out of here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.